Hey, Andre. Indeed, indeed. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Narrators Rock. And we have some amazing, amazing narrators here with us today that did some of the tribe books. We got The Thick of Things. We have here we go. How you doing? You did that one, Tamika. Okay. And then we have the person who did Kings of the Castle. I don't see William quite yet, but I know he's going to slide in at some point. We have The Falling of Stars. Hi, Khaya. Hey, 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 girl. Hey. Also, Pat, you have your person that did Fire in the Water. So we have all of these wonderful narrators. We're only going to be here for an hour. We're going to put you on the hot seat at certain times. But here's the question: why narrators? Why narration? What called you to that? I'm going to start with Ruffin. He was here first. What called you to start to become a narrator?
So I went to school for acting at Rutgers. I got my master's in acting, and I got a voiceover agent. And it's something that I never really thought would be a part of my journey. It's something I never even dreamt of. And one day I got an audition for Mookie Wilson's autobiography. Um, and I auditioned for that, and I got the job to do the book. And I have to say, the first book was by far one of the hardest things I've ever done. Um, I felt like after 2 hours, it was my level of purgatory. The walls were creeping in. I was making up words on the page. It was just an experience. But then I got to learn, like, oh man, this is storytelling at its best. I have uh, the freedom to create and make choices here. And that's the best part about reading a book is that you are, even though we've read it before and you've done work on prepping to record, the best part is just getting to see, like, once you go back on that journey as you're recording it live, you're reminded, like, oh, these twists and turns like live in you, and you get to just let them flow out. And so that's what has called me and kept me on this journey. I also am the proud father of two young daughters. I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. And I always say that my job helps me be a great storyteller for them at nighttime. So that keeps me warm as well. But yeah, that's how I've started my journey as a narrator and how I got to where I am now.
Awesome, awesome. So, welcome, Tamika. Welcome, Leah. I saw you slide in. Tamika, what called you into becoming a narrator?
Sorry. Let's see. A similar story. I'm a trained actor. I went to performing arts high school, got my BFA from USC, and did not think that I would be an audiobook. I love to read, but I thought it was something that just seemed like another part of the journey. That I was like, do I really want to try to open that door? And it's really because a friend of mine was a producer and she asked me to audition for a particular production company. And the piece that I used was from How to Love a Jamaican, and my family's Jamaican. So it is something that is very close to my heart. And it really just, that was my gateway into everything. And I am so ecstatic that I get to do this as a job, that I make a living, that I am able to like still pursue on camera work. In fact, you'll have to follow a cafe because I'm running for an audition before I have to go see a play tonight. So, we do what we have to do. But yeah, and the fact that I get to do this is just an absolute dream come true.
Awesome, awesome. Andre.
Hey, hey. I was not a trained actor. I got my degree in psychology, and I was recruiting teachers for a charter network when audiobooks came into my life. The pandemic came, I had my first real office job, and I was listening to a lot of audiobooks. I was a super fan. And I ran into the back world of, working with indie productions and, through ACX. And it just all kind of spiraled from there. But I had loved acting growing up. I had done a little bit in college as well, but all of my performance was really influenced by my background in poetry, in public speaking, and spoken word. And so I didn't get to have any of my training until after I started narrating. But similarly to everyone else, though, I am just a lover of stories. I've always loved everything from books and movies to video games. There were times where, a TV show would be so bad, but I was just hooked on what was happening narratively, and so I'd watch along anyways. And audiobooks, I feel so fortunate that I've had so many books that I absolutely adore the story behind. I love falling into it. So it's just been a blast. And I'm so fortunate because narrators are the coolest people, and they're all my coworkers now and all my friends. And it's introduced me to the world of authors too, with so many fantastic folks. So it's just been a blessing and a dream.
Awesome. Leah.
I started doing theater at a really young age, like community theater, and then didn't think I would go into it for a living, but somebody was like, you should try it. And so I did. And so the two big loves of my life have been theater and books. Like again, from a young age, I've just like always been a book addict. I literally can't do anything without a book in my hand. I can't eat. I can't like brush my teeth without something to read. So I had some good friends some actor friends who got into narration years ago, and I was always so jealous. I was like, that would be the perfect job for me. I get to read for a living. And then, and I kind of fell into it a few years ago, and I'm a mom too, and it's a wonderful job as a parent because I record from home in a closet in my house. So I can pop in there whenever I have a free hour. I pop in, I make it work around my schedule. It's just honestly a dream. And it's hard. It's not easy. There are days that it's a struggle, but I'm just so grateful to be reading for a living, and I get to do it from home and again work with such wonderful people. It's just a dream.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you. Opal.
There we go, that mic. Okay, well, 2020, COVID, I became a part-time caregiver and I needed something to help me. And this was a great way to do it. I've been acting since I was a teenager, and I also teach theater to kids. So to research those stories, sometimes I would check out audiobooks from the library to get acquainted with what the playwright was going to write for these children. And so finding a way to make it a business to not only help my family, but to speak to me creatively, allow me the flexibility and schedule, but able to do the work every day. So, yeah.
Indeed. Thank you so much. Khaya.
Hi. I started voice acting also during the pandemic. I went to school for theater, George Mason University, got my BA in performance and graduated in 2019 and then moved to New York January 2020 and then COVID happened. And so I was always curious about voice acting and I've always been a massive reader. And so I kind of got back into reading again as an adult like during COVID and just started like getting into voice acting during that time too and started doing like a lot of commercials and indie animation and like fiction podcasting stuff. And then I started doing narration about 2 years ago, and I absolutely love it. And it's like I am already reading now anyway, so now I get paid to just read all of my favorite books. Like absolutely.
Indeed. So, William, we asked what brought you into narration, doing narrations.
Oh, yes, good morning. Thank you so much. Pardon me. I'm working on a project right now, so I was late. But I was doing a show with the one of the producers for recorded books, and he liked my voice. I'd always wanted to do narration. I love telling stories, same as everyone else. I've got a lot of nieces and nephews, and I love reading to them. I love just making up stories for them and doing voices. And as an actor in Chicago, I love portraying characters. And I got my first book right before this one, and so it was just super exciting to be able to jump on and jump into all these different voices. And it's a really, really cool experience for me. It's something that I've always wanted to do.
Awesome, awesome. Next question is, what is the biggest myth around narration that people have? Um, I can who can raise their hand and just want to answer that? I'm going to be throwing out questions. Go ahead, Andre say, hey, it's me, it's me.
Can you read English? Do you want to make $400 an hour? I don't know why audiobooks got caught up in the whole like easy money circuit online of like YouTube videos and classes and things like that. But people were like, this is how you get rich quick. And after 5 years, I can tell you I'm not rich yet. But yeah, it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of like work over time, and it's freelance, and so it's project based. And so I think that's definitely one of the myths that we're like, I don't know, America's job creators or something like that. But at least it's fun.
Anyone else want to tackle a myth that people? Okay, Khaya.
I think one thing that I've heard a lot from people who are interested in voice acting is that they think they have to have a specific type of voice to be a voice actor. And I think that sometimes that holds people back from pursuing it because they're like, oh, I don't like the way that I sound, or like, I can't do it because like my voice is weird, or my voice is too raspy, or I can't do different characters and things like that. But I think that if you're a good actor and you have that foundation, I think any actor could get into voice acting. And I think that diversity in voices is needed now more than ever. So it's the perfect time to like jump into it.
Indeed, indeed. Anyone else? Okay, so next question. Accents. How many of you all do accents? Okay, Leah, let's go.
I have a reasonable amount of accents that I'm decent at, but I have to admit that now I've hit about like 50 something books, and I've definitely come across accents that I'm like, huh? And I just have to I go on YouTube, I get a flavor of it. And I think the thing with audiobooks that somebody very wise told me early on was you don't want to do a heavy accent, you just want a taste of it, because nobody wants to listen to somebody with a very heavy accent, and it sounds over the top in audio. But I've definitely, it's definitely expanded my brain and my abilities. I'll put it that way.
Indeed. Andre, I saw your hand go up.
Oh yeah, it's been interesting over the past few months. I have found myself doing a lot of dialects, and that has been really fun. Like a dialect is when it's your native language and it's just a different way to speak it, versus an accent being it's like a different language. But I have loved this process because it has taught me so much about myself and my own languages. So I'm Brazilian, I speak Portuguese, and I speak Spanish, and I do accents for those languages, but just based off of like moving my mouth the way I do when I speak those languages. So it's been an unexpected space of play as an actor to work with accents of all different kinds. And I do love, like Leah said, we're not, like a single actor on a TV show with like a dialect coach who's like been doing this for 3 months, and we have to be like pass as believable because we're, we get a scene and it's the United Nations and we have to do every person, and we just gotta make it work. We just gotta make it through the moment.
Khaya?
I don't know if I really have anything to add, but
I saw your hand go up. I'm sorry.
well, I do accents, but yeah, I don't know. I just YouTube videos definitely help. I watch a lot of TikToks. I recently just had to do a novel where a lot of the characters were Guyanese and my family is West Indian, and so the accents are a little bit similar but also a little bit different. So just finding those like moments of specificity. I just recorded one of Stephanie's books yesterday that had some Caribbean accents in it, so that was fun.
Yes, 40 Days of Pleasure. Yes.
Yes.
We request it. And that's one of the things. I am a literary agent. And part of it is now that we know who you all are, we put in specifically to request you all to do the other books of ours to keep the continuity there. Number one, that's why having you here, I've never heard of anybody having an event. We're bringing narrators together to talk about the process and all of this. So I said, let's be the first. So you guys are our first audiobooks. Kings of the Castle, Every Woman Needs a Wife. That is my first time being in audio because it was so expensive, you know, and we said if I couldn't do it right, we weren't going to do it at all. And then I landed about 12 audio deals in one day. And you all are those audio deals and the first ones for us. So I just want to say thank you. And we were excited about this. Somebody else was going to say something about accents. Tamika, I'd like to hear, because I was so shocked. I did a sample of J.L. Campbell's The Thick of Things, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And she's speaking patois.
Well, like I said, my family's Jamaican, so it happens to come. Sorry, it happens to come like a second nature to me, and I actually just got back. But also, I do work with a dialect coach in my prep. If I come across accents that I'm not used to or aware of, I'm blessed with a pretty decent ear. I have a fantastic coach. If anyone wants his name and number, because he has gotten me right. Excuse me, sir. Thank you so much. Sorry. He's gotten me ready and right for West African, for South American, like across the world. So highly recommend working with a coach when the opportunity presents itself. But TikTok has also been very useful when this random person from, you know, Korea happens to come up and you're like, oh, okay. All right. I'm going to try my best here.
Indeed. William.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, for me, I love doing characters. I love making up characters that are fun, wild, ridiculous, and this was such a very interesting challenge to kind of find a different character and then jump back and forth and then try to remember, okay, this is what he sounds like now that we recorded this, and we go back to that. It was such an interesting experience, and it was so much fun. I think it's in the current show that I'm in, it definitely helped to push me to try even more new and maybe outside of my box things with the voices that I do. So yeah.
Awesome. So you mean Kings of the Castle with them having 9 different men? You were saying that's what you meant? That was a challenge? Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, like bouncing back and forth as they're all like talking to each other in the same different scene and being like, okay, now this is where he is, and oh, okay, this one is where he is, and this one sounds a little more like that, and then kind of going back and going, wait, did I swap those two characters? No, I got it.
Yes, indeed, indeed. Well, I appreciate the work on that. And okay, here, what has been the hardest part? This is for each one of you. What has been the hardest part of being a narrator? So I'm going to start with Opal because we haven't heard from her on the other questions, and then we'll swing it around.
For me, the hardest part is the technical part, because the acting, I've had more time to do that naturally, and I have that formal training. But the technical part, I had to learn it from scratch. I'm used to going to a studio, having an engineer, having a director, you know, give me the note, tell me what to do, and I will give it to you on a plate. But to literally be all of the creative and all of the technical, making sure that your sound is right, making sure that it's quiet enough so you can record, right? Because most of us are recording from home and nothing is actually sound proof. You know, little things come in, rumbles from trucks, you know, kids, dogs, airplanes. I live in LA, helicopters, like every 30 minutes. So that was, I would say, the most challenging thing for me when I was learning the process. And I spent hours, so many hours just logging, saying the same 2 paragraphs over and over until I felt confident in what that final recording was before I even presented it to my coaches. Just, you know, I wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing. So if people aren't familiar, there's this thing called punch and roll. So we don't just record and then go back and listen to it and edit it. We have to confidently do the performance, stop ourselves immediately if we make a mistake, and correct it in the moment. And that's not an easy thing to do.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. Ruffin.
In- the landscape of audiobooks has changed drastically because we are producer, engineer, talent. So that has been a difficult part. But for me, it's always been um, being patient with myself. I have the tendency to like know, oh my gosh, this chapter is 20 pages, and I'll get 7 pages in and just overwhelm myself if I think I'm not even halfway. Or so the thing that I have the biggest hang up about is making sure that I worry about the word in front of me, one word at a time, one sentence at a time. And that allows me to be present, and it actually ends up making my pace faster because I'm present to what's happening. I can get so caught up in the moment and be like, I got to get through this chapter. I got to, and as long as I slow myself down, that has always been my personal journey. Maybe in life too. Maybe there's some semblance from the booth to my life. Just slow down and be present to the moment. But that's always the toughest part for me.
Indeed, indeed. Leah.
I agree with so much with what both of you, Ruffin and Opal, said. Once I got the technical aspects down, I built a home studio like right at the beginning of the pandemic. Once I got that down and set, I was okay. But it's the not having an ear listening to you, like being on your own without an engineer or director, that I still struggle with, because like Ruffin, I get perfectionistic sometimes, and then I slow myself down because I'm like, I know I got to go back and do that again. And you got to just keep moving along. You have to make your deadlines and everything. So I think that's the hardest thing in the way that audiobooks have changed. And most of us are recording from home, and most of us are just alone and at our own devices. And the only feedback we get often is that we keep getting books. Like my publisher that I mainly work for, they don't write to me or call me and be like, hey, great job on, like, I don't get any of that. The only feedback is that they keep sending me work, and that has to be enough feedback for me. But when I get to do a class with a really good teacher, it's so wonderful to get some direction and feedback. That's really what's hardest, I think.
Indeed. Andre.
Yeah, I similarly resonating with everything. Like I said, this is freelance work, and knowing where the next job is coming from, that is the toughest part for me. We can book a fantastic year and it doesn't mean anything about the next year. We can get a great book and it doesn't mean anything about the next book. And so whether it's figuring out what the whole ecosystem is, I know that for a lot of actors, like how audiobooks works is so different even from other types of voiceover, let alone from on-screen acting with how you're getting work. The number of like theater actors I've said, like, here's a list of producers, email them, and they're like, reach out to them, like actively contact them. And so it's such an interesting process, and figuring out, how to manage your schedule and manage your finances and all those things. So for me, it's all the realities of this being a freelance job that have been and continue to be hard, because again, I could really figure it out, have my groove down, have a fantastic year. We got to do it again next year.
Awesome, awesome. William?
I would have to say for me, it was making those character choices. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I love listening to audio, especially as I'm commuting to my work and to other rehearsals and things like that. And I have my favorite authors that I love listening to, and I love the decisions that they make vocally and the characters that they create. And I think where I resonate with a lot of what they were saying is, there's not that director in the room, and I am a theater actor, so I'm used to that being like I can just make a decision, and someone will go, "Oh, okay, bring that down, just bring that in a little bit," or let go a little further. And so to have to make the decisions and then go, I hope they like it, finding that confidence to do it and then be like, yeah, sure, it's out there. We'll see what happens. I think that was the hardest for me.
Indeed. Khaya.
Echoing everything everyone has already said. Yeah, what Ruffin was saying about the patience thing, that is so real for me. I am not the most patient person. And when I see a chapter that's like over 20 pages, I'm like, I'll never finish it. I'm gonna be here for the rest of my life. Like automatically I'm like, I can't do it, I can't do it. But then also I'm also doing my first punch and roll thing right now as well. I've been spoiled to be able to go into studio because I do live in New York. And so I'm doing it right now. And yeah, the not having feedback and like figuring out how to do the punch and roll like myself is like kind of scary and hard. But it's been an interesting challenge. But I think also just like when you're getting started, it's kind of hard to just find out information, I think, to get started, just because everything's kind of spread out and different parts of like voice acting don't really like cross over as much as you would think, I guess. Like there's not like, you know, one guidebook that's like, this is how you get into narration, this is how you get into animation, this is how you get into commercial. So I think just like doing a lot of research in the beginning and figuring out like everything that I need and like coaches to work with and people to submit to and like producers to email and audio production houses to direct market to and like all of those things was a bit challenging for me coming out of college and just trying to like figure it all out. But thankfully, like every narrator I've met has been so kind and open to just helping a new person out, and I really appreciate that about this community.
Indeed. Tamika.
Echoing what everyone has said, I too am super spoiled by having the ability to go into a studio, work with an engineer. Doesn't always happen, but that is my first choice. I've worked on a lot of fantasy books or romantasy books as well. And so when you have words that are made up, and if you're doing it yourself and you're like, wait, is that cafe? A cafe? You know, like I don't remember how I even said this random made up words from 2 chapters ago. And then you have to go back and figure it out and try to track it. So the self-reliance, you really realize like, you know, this is your business, your art, and it's, you got to figure it out. And I've been really glad that I had the opportunity to do that.
Awesome. Awesome. So we have some questions. Tracy Finley, you have a question?
I do, but I can't ask it until I say that Andre and Leah knocked it out of the park with The Falling of Stars. That book, it's a book I wrote about 10 years ago. I didn't remember a lot of it, and they just nailed it. Of the 3 audiobooks that I have, of the 3 thrillers I have in audiobooks, this is by far the best one, guys. So thank you so much. And my question is, this is also the only book I have that have dual narrators. And my question is, how do you guys, do you collaborate when you find out you're doing it with someone? Like, I had, like, for example, I had readers who didn't know how to say Malik. They would say Malik, or they would say the name wrong. Do you like have to collaborate? And what's your process when you find out you're doing a project with another narrator? Like, what do you do?
This is for us specifically?
Well, I mean, sure. Or if anyone else wants to throw it in too.
I think Andre should answer for us because he was kind of, he really like took charge and I appreciated it.
My first like publisher project was a co-narration with a wonderful narrator named Mark Sanderlin, and he really taught me all about like how impactful it is to make sure you're on the same page and how much it impacts the listener too. Like you said, like if we were saying the main character's name wrong throughout the audiobook, not every audiobook has a proofing process that's going to catch that. So even just starting off with like, you know, identifying what characters are in the book, who is speaking, and if there's folks that overlap in our chapters, we're usually sharing character references, at the very least sharing references of each other's characters. I had a co-narrator recently who wanted to jump on the phone and kind of talk about like the vibe of the book. So really anything that helps us feel like we're pulling from the same kind of pool of choices as actors.
Indeed, indeed. Lisa Dotson, you have a question?
Yeah, so as with anything, there are things that you like and there's things that you don't like about, like, say, for instance, a book. You have your favorite genres that you might like, and you have some that you don't quite gel with. So what happens when you might get a project where you're working on a book and you're just going through it and it's just not gelling with you? What are some of the techniques you use to kind of overcome that? And that's for anybody.
Tamika said raise her hand on that one. Go ahead.
I like to pretend that I'm telling my friend a story. It's like this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. So even if like it's not exactly what's my favorite genre, or it's still fascinating to be able to pretend like I'm telling somebody about events that happened.
Indeed. Anybody else want to speak in? Opal? Okay, I see your hand. Yes.
I love this question. I really enjoy not just the story, but the characters. So even if that character is technically a villain of the piece, I make them a person. I make them human, even if it's someone that I know, or a character from a play or from a film, like something that I can relate to so that I can make it real to me. So then in voicing it, I can make it real for the listener. And so it's that whole concept of make believe, right? The basis of acting, that I like to go into to try to create authenticity, even though I'm not a man, even though I'm not a police warden, even though I'm not an oil tycoon, stuff like that. So whether it's something that's my favorite or an experience that I haven't lived, research goes in that too. Researching other literature and things that have happened in real life too. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else before I think Khaya, did you raise your hand really briefly? Go ahead. And then we're going to Pat to Pat's question. Go ahead, Khaya.
Kind of echoing what Opal was saying, that I feel like you can't play a character if you're coming from a place of judgment. So I think just trying to view them as a real person as much as possible, and just allowing yourself to take in the text and understand them as best you can, and just like let that just make them come alive in a way that you can relate to them, as if you would just like you have to be empathetic to any character that you play as if they were a real human being, because otherwise that it's gonna bleed through in your performance, and it's not gonna feel right. It's not gonna feel right to you when you're recording it. It's not gonna feel right to the listener.
Indeed. Okay, Ruffin.
Yeah. Just in the character front, like you kind of lean into what every character wants. It's easy to get into the middle of a scene and just realize like, oh, both of these characters are fighting for something really hard. And when you get to lean into both perspectives, even if it's material that you aren't the most fond of, all of a sudden you've gotten through the chapter because you, as the actor, were fighting so hard for both characters to win. And that just kind of, yeah, just the acting of it all just helps it flow and gets you to the end of a chapter. And before you know it, the end of a book.
Awesome. Awesome. I am going to slide it up to Pat for her question. While she's getting that together, I dropped a link for you guys to enter to win your gift cards. There's raffle copters on the audiobooks page on the Nalena Kai website. Each one of us has a raffle copter. You click that and you can enter to win for your Visa gift cards or Amazon gift cards. That's the link that is now in the chat for that. So everyone, even the narrators, you can click and enter as well. So have the ball. Pat, back to you.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I'm really impressed with everyone that I've heard from. But my question for the narrators is, after you've narrated a few books, do you feel that you too can write a book?
Wow, overwhelmingly, there was like, no. Okay, William, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, not at all. I think it's the same
It
thing
was
that I
almost
think about that.
overwhelming. Everybody was shaking their heads. I was like, what?
No, I love being involved in the story. I love learning and listening to a story and getting into it. But it's like now that I've lived in a house, can I build a house? Not at all. Not at all. I take my hat off to all of you that do that. It's amazing.
And that's
Wow.
overwhelming. That is everyone.
I am
Okay, wait,
I
wait,
am
wait.
so surprised. I'm so
Wait,
surprised.
Khaya, wait, Khaya and Ruffin. Go ahead, Khaya.
It's actually my dream.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
I love YA and contemporary romance, and I've written a couple. I'm like trying to submit, the whole thing. But I've always been a writer. I minored in English in college, and I do a lot of film, and I write short films and do a lot of screenplay stuff. And so yeah, I would love to. Sounds fun.
Just so you know, the tribe, the ones that you all wrote, this is my tribe, the Agent Tribe and the Tribe Called Success. We wrote a book called The Right Stuff. So make sure, and it's only 99 cents. Make sure you go grab it. It'll help you in your journey into writing. We also have the marketing stuff. And then I have another one, the blueprint for writing and publishing. If you guys grab that, the ones who want to, hey, we got you covered. But also, Khaya, when you're ready, if you don't have your literary agent, holla. So on that, Ruffin, I think you had your hand up about writing a
I mean,
book.
for me, I feel like I'd never say never. If anything, this is preparing me if that story does come to my spirit and my heart, if the muse is there, if you will, to be able to do so. And I'm not saying it would be easy, but I just finished my first feature script. And for me, narrating books has helped me understand story structure, more importantly, period. And so even if I'm acting in a TV show or on stage, just feeling where the ebbs and flows need to go, I have a better understanding of that just by sitting in a booth and telling a story. Because at the end of the day, this all boils down to when we sat around the fire and told stories as human beings, right? It's the oldest craft we have. And so yeah, I will never say this doesn't make me, if anything, it makes me feel more confident that if the right story came along, I at least could try and give it a good effort. And then I'd come to a good agent who'd be like, hey, get this thing right, you know. We'll shape it. We'll shape it. The heart is there. So yeah, that's how I feel about
Indeed. And I would suggest that you start off with a short story.
it. Mm.
We did during the pandemic, we did the 30-day writing challenge. And what we had is that we had people to do 30,000 words, 1,000 words a day. We did an assignment. The Oscar Mayer Wiener truck crashed into the Wonder Bread truck on the expressway. And that was a writing prompt that we gave. And we gave them a minute to write. And after that minute, we said, okay, count up how many words you wrote. And then from there, when they got the word count, I said, now multiply that by 60. When they came up with that number, I said, that's the amount of words that you can write per day about something you care absolutely nothing about. Imagine if it was a story of your heart. Start with a short story. You can do 5,000 words, a micro book, something small, and then expand from there. So I definitely would suggest that. Anybody else want to chime in before we slide over to something else? Okay, there is a question here from Marquita. How has it been setting up your studio, soundproofing, best equipment you found to work? Who wants to tackle that? We'll get a couple of people on that because I want to make sure you guys get back to your busy lives. I said it was going to be 1 hour and I want to make sure it stays within that. So how has it been setting up your studio? Who wants to tackle that question?
I'll take it.
Okay, Opal, go ahead.
I got coached on it. I got together with an engineer who works in audiobooks, got on a Zoom, showed them my space. I did the research beforehand for the type of equipment that I believed would fit within my budget. And then from their expertise and my practice, I went from there. If you already have an idea about some things you might be interested in, there's this website called Reverb, REVERB.com, where people resell their equipment. So my very first microphone I won in a raffle. don't be scared. Don't be scared to apply for things, to apply for grants. I applied for grants as well to fund all of that, instead of having the money come out of my pocket. Because like I said, I became a part-time caregiver. So the whole reason I was getting into it was to make money. So I would suggest checking that out, doing the research, finding out, do you need to be in a closet? Do you need to build a space of its own, a room within a room? Where do you live? Is it a busy city? Is it a quiet suburb? Are you in the basement? Are you on the second floor? Things like that. All of that makes a difference with your acoustics. And then when you've done some research, then if you feel ready to invest, I would get an expert to give you advice on what actually is working in your space. Or you could get mentored. Since there's so many of us doing it, there may be somebody available to mentor you too.
Okay, quick question. Khaya, I've watched your TikToks and you always have coffee and whatever you're wearing that day, and you're on your way to the studio. So yours is not in your home?
um, like I said earlier, I have been pretty lucky to be able to record in studio a lot because Macmillan, Penguin Random House, Recorded Books is all in the city, just a 30-minute train ride for me. But I am currently in my home booth. One thing I am always going to do is find a deal. So I live in New York, like I said. You can find stuff on Facebook Marketplace all of the time for free. I got these sound blankets for free off of Facebook Marketplace. I got my microphone, which is a Rode NT microphone, which is like pretty good standard microphone for mid to high range voices. I got it off of eBay. And yeah, I just like make it work. I live in a railroad apartment that has no doors and no closets. So I am currently sitting in a pantry and I just put some foam on the walls and put a little IKEA desk in here and I'm just gonna make it do what it do. And otherwise I'm gonna be hopping on the train and going to record in studio if I can.
Indeed, indeed. Angie, you have a question.
Hi. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I did have a question. Let me see what I wrote. So I want to know how on average, how long does it take to narrate a book? So if you said, for example, a 300-page book, how long would it take one of you to narrate that?
Who wants to tackle that? Khaya, go right ahead.
I was just gonna say, whatever the hour count it says on Audible, at least double that. So if it's an 11-hour book, at least 22 hours.
Indeed. Well, trigger warnings. My book, Every Woman Needs a Wife, has some dark parts. And I actually almost pulled it. When it got the deal, I wanted to supply it with a different book instead of that one because it has some darker parts in there. And I asked for them to put a trigger warning in it for the person who was going to do the narration. And I'm not sure if they did, but how do you all handle reading very dark material? Andre.
And I'll toss this over to Opal too, because I know she got experience with this. But
Yeah,
I
she
mean,
ended up reading that book, Every Woman Needs a Wife. And
there you,
I was like, if I could have rewritten that book, there's 2 chapters in there that I would have taken out. But back then, 20 something years ago, I was telling my truth. And I did not necessarily understand the impact that it was going to have on the reader. All of us were writing our truth and our experiences. We didn't necessarily tamper them. And I regret that, but it's been my best-selling book to date. So anyway, go back to you, Andre.
And honestly, so many people, dark romance is huge right now, and so many people are connecting with this. And I know for some people it's cathartic, for other people it's an explorational space. I don't necessarily narrate a lot of it, but those trigger warnings are, I think, for us narrators, really important because everyone has different boundaries, and we don't always get to read the full manuscript before we take on a book. And so those warnings and that content of the book really does help us make informed decisions. I actually just turned down a book because one personal boundary that I have is that I'm fine with saying the N-word, but only if it's written by a Black author. And so I was given a book written by a white author that included the N-word. And so because they mentioned that in the audition, I was able to let them know ahead of time that I would be turning it down. So really, any kind of content warnings, not just dark things, but really whatever is happening in the book, having as great as much of a perspective on that as we can before we take it on is always helpful for us.
Thank you. Anyone else want to tackle that? Because I thought that was a very important thing to bring out. Anyone else?
I'll jump in. This is Opal. So I would like to encourage you, Nelena, to not regret it, because I was able to read this book before accepting it. And I felt the way you wrote it was so, it's not my experience, but I felt that it had the potential to be universal and to speak to someone who had that experience. So that's the approach I took to the material. And I released it in the hope that it would be helpful to someone. It would help create clarity for someone. It would help identify someone, ground someone, because it just felt very real. And it felt generational, and it felt like there was the possibility, well, the way you explained it in the story, it's a legacy in that one family of this particular type of behavior. And I felt that was so important to get right. And so I just want to encourage you to maybe re-examine it. Now, as far as the trigger warning, unfortunately for us narrators, we don't have any say when it comes to that. So for the final cut of whatever, or final mix of what an audiobook is going to be, we don't know if everything we've recorded is going to be included. Because sometimes we even have different versions of what the intro and the outro of the book are. So I haven't heard it. We also don't get copies. That's not part of our payment. We don't get free copies of the book. So I haven't had the opportunity to hear it yet, because I'm a library girl and it's not at my library yet. So I'm anxiously waiting for it so I can hear it. But I just want to encourage you today to not mute yourself or silence yourself if you feel called to tell any particular story. And that's not just for Nelena, that's for every writer who's on this call. If that story is in you, and you're not feeling led to release it and share it and give it to someone else, you may not want to be the author of it, to give that idea to someone else. If you are called to do it, I encourage you to write it, because I feel deeply that it will touch someone.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm crying too. I loved your book.
Thank you. Thank you.
I loved your book so much.
Thank you. I needed to hear that, because
I feel like it's so important.
Yeah.
So important.
And
but it was funny too. I cried, I laughed, I just loved it. And I was able to do that with an engineer, which I think gave me the strength to just do it and not judge it or think about it, just perform it. And yeah, it's important.
Thank you. I did ask if they could take some parts out, and they said it would become abridged, and they don't do that really. And I will tell you that Carol Mackey, Recorded Books, she was on another Zoom, and she said, this looks fantastic. She's been popping it. This looks fantastic. She was one of the people who were, it was beneficial in us getting these deals, and also choosing you all to narrate. She chose the perfect narrators for each one of us, because she knows tribe in that aspect. Are any of these narrators in the Atlanta area, she asked? Not in the Atlanta area? Okay. She says she's going to catch the recording. But Carol Mackey, I want to say hats off for that, because not only did she pick up those 12, she also picked up another 14 last month. So we are definitely two things that, as an agent, I'm going to make sure that we request are the people that voices that we're familiar with, which is you, as well as we get to add in a clause. And sometimes when we're signing a deal and we were asking for rights and they're controlling the movie rights, we get to say, hey, what do you want to add? So now that I know the majority of you guys are actors, I'm going to put in there, hey, could you please consider these particular people. I'm going to make sure as an agent that we put that in there. We did get a bite. We've gotten 2 bites for Kings of the Castle from 2 different places, East Coast, West Coast, wanting to see about making it into a movie. So we're very fingers crossed, toes crossed, all of that will come through. But since I now see that in contracts, publishing contracts, the ones that suck up the movie rights as well, that they will honor some rights, and some of that is narrators, and some of that now we will put in there about actors and actresses for the movies when they make it. So thank you all for that. And we only have 10 minutes. So I want to have a 30-second clip from each one of you guys of hearing your voice read something very briefly, and then we're going to put you on the hot seat. Okay, so let's start with Tamika. Tamika, I was highly impressed with that Jamaican accent in the mountain. I'm just saying.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Anything. It can be anything.
Okay, let's see here. I pulled up the Reverb website. Explore what's trending this week. Top deals and gear stories the buyer seller community are loving. I don't know.
Ruffin, have at it.
Anything?
Anything.
Oh man.
We're just listening to the voice when you're getting in that space. So anybody, you guys, the rest of you guys, pull up something really quickly. Stephanie, get ready with those hot seat questions, please.
Is anybody ready right now? Everybody's shaking their head no.
You can improv something. It's okay.
The improv, the tribe motto is be ready so you don't have to get ready. I'm just
saying. I'll improv for you.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Opal. Jump right in.
Well, the thing is that I have studied elocution, so I can do a little bit of this. And of course, I lived in New York for a little bit, so I can also do a little bit of that. But I'm on the West Coast. So the sun is shining and the breeze is blowing. But I'm originally from the South. And some people just don't know that that's how we go sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So, da-da-down, da-da-down, down, down.
Indeed, indeed. Who's next? Okay, I'm gonna just call you out. Leah, let's go.
I'm trying to pull up something here. Well,
I'll just read a magazine, anything.
Well, this is just the beginning of another book that I'm working on. The message slinks onto my phone. You up? My eyes swing to the numbers at the top of my screen. 12:04. Just past a socially acceptable time on a Tuesday night to be awake. I sigh, rolling onto my side, the mattress springs of my double bed shrieking under my weight. I clench my eyes tight, praying for the sleep that I know will evade me. Even so, I can't help but feel the pull back to the phone, those 2 words drawing me in.
Thank you. All right, all right. Who's next? Okay, Ruffin, go right ahead. We can't hear you. There we go. Okay.
My mother, whose laughter I carry in my bones, whose stubbornness I carry in my breath, and who calls to me in the quiet moments between chaos. We may walk different paths, but I can never deny how much of me is you.
Yes, yes. Let's slide it on over to Khaya.
Okay, so I'm working on this contemporary romance right now for Alexa Martin that I'm gonna probably be recording after we're done here today. So here's a little paragraph from the first chapter.
30 seconds.
Okay. I think I've girl bossed a little too close to the sun. When I signed up to attend a skincare convention, I assumed I'd have a nice, quiet weekend filled with soothing colors and spa music wrapping me as tight as the fluffy robe I knew I'd be wearing. It would be the perfect calming experience before the new school year started, and my days were filled with finger paint mishaps, recess accidents, and an overabundance of hyper 5-year-olds. Oh, how I was wrong.
Indeed, indeed. Andre, let's go.
Sure. I just pulled up a paragraph from Falling of Stars.
Oh,
My life is divided into two stages, pre-Alex and post-Alex. Pre-Alex is hard to remember, obviously, because I was just a little kid. I do have vivid memories, though, of those days when it was just my mom and me, and our last name was Ryan. When I was really young, we lived with my grandparents down in the Redlands on the big ass farm. My mom's parents owned an orange grove, and I remember running up and down the rows of trees, climbing them until my shins were bloody, and throwing oranges at iguanas.
nice, nice, nice. William, come with it.
Right. This is from a show I'm doing right now, A Tale of Two Cities. I've been hiding out. The mob's been after me ever since Darnay was acquitted, because if he's innocent, I must be guilty of false testimony. They want me tarred and feathered. They want to blame me for their own bloodlust. Well, if people are asked to pay for every wrong they do, we'll all be smeared in blood. We already are. Blood. Blood, 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 all the way down to the bottom of each of us, all the way back to the beginning. A lake of blood we've been filling for so long, we all just better hope we die before the dam breaks.
Was that a British accent?
Little bit, just
A
a
British
taste.
accent,
This is
because I'm
earlier.
telling you, my panties just hit my ankles and ran to the curb. I'm like, I love a British accent. Man. Woo! Yes. So did I hit everybody? Everybody got a little taste? Okay. Stephanie, let's go with those hot seat questions.
And everybody, Stephanie and Frame is the name. Murder, Mayhem, and Mysteries are my game. Khaya, I thank you for breathing life into my characters. You did a brilliant job. Thank you so much.
much.
You're welcome. All right, now get ready for the hot seat. Okay, so who wants to go first? Or am I just
Pick
following
somebody.
through?
Don't give them. Pick someone.
Okay, Khaya, I'll go with you first. Okay. You're like, oh no, don't worry. All right. So this is this or that question for book lovers. So I'll ask the questions, this or that, and you give the first thing that pops off in your head, okay?
Okay.
All right. Physical book or audiobook?
Audiobook.
Okay. Fantasy or sci-fi?
Fantasy.
Standalone novel or book series?
Series.
Okay.
Okay.
Read. Okay.
Let's move to the next one. We only have 3 more minutes, so let's move to the next person.
Okay. Ruffin. Ready? All right. Plot-driven or character-driven stories?
They're driven.
Say that again.
Plot-driven or character-driven stories?
Character driven.
Okay. Read at night or read in the morning?
In the morning.
I'm sorry?
Morning.
Morning.
Okay. Mystery or romance?
Mystery.
Okay. Borrow from the library or buy a copy of your own?
Borrow from the library.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna slide to another person. Let's do Tamika.
Okay. Make it ready to rock?
Yes. Yes.
All righty. Annotate books or keep them pristine?
Annotate.
Okay. Audiobooks or podcasts?
Audiobook.
Okay. Slow burn or love at first sight?
Ooh, slow burn. Slow burn. You can appreciate it more.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to switch over to questions, general questions for friends, this or that. Call first thing in the morning, or call in the middle of the night?
Middle of the night.
Okay.
Let's
Board
bring-
games? Oh, okay.
Let's move it over to the next person. Who didn't go? Leah? Let's go.
All right, Leah, ready?
Yep.
All righty. Board games or video games?
Ooh, board games.
Photos or videos?
Videos.
Social media message or text message?
Text message.
Okay. Take a friend on your family vacation or join a friend on their family vacation?
Oh man. Take a friend. on my vacation.
All right. Group hangout or one-on-one hangout?
One-on-one.
Switching to
fries or
Opal.
onion rings?
Switching to Opal.
Okay. Opal, you ready?
Ready?
French fries or onion rings?
Onion rings.
Yes. Share food or don't share food?
Don't share food.
Preach. I'm not sharing my onion rings or my Reese cups. Give a ride or hitch a ride?
Give a ride.
Okay. Instagram or Twitter?
Instagram.
Okay.
We're gonna cycle over to William.
Okay, William, ready to rock?
Ready.
All right. Shopping online or shopping in store?
Shopping online.
Tattoos or piercings?
Piercings.
Store-bought or homemade?
Homemade.
Nice. Plans or surprises?
Plans.
Pizza or Chinese food?
Pizza.
Okay.
Books or
Hold up. Thank you. Did we get Andre? Okay, Andre.
Andre, you ready to rock?
Let's do it.
Okay. Books or movies?
Movies,
Roller coasters or water slides?
roller coasters,
Okay. Souvenirs or postcards?
souvenirs,
Letter or emails?
emails,
Okay. This may start a war, but Android or iPhone?
Android.
Oh my God. No, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. Now, for the people who are listening, it's your turn. Peanut butter and jelly or grilled cheese? Drop it in the chat. Peanut butter and jelly or grilled cheese? Everybody in the chat. Grilled cheese, grilled cheese, grilled cheese, grilled cheese. Oh, wow. Peter, thank you, my PB and J people. Thank you. Come through. Come through. Okay, so here's another one. Stephen King or Dean Koontz? Drop it in the chat. Stephen King or Dean Koontz? Stephen King did. Okay, 1-1. King, Koontz, King. Looks like it's King. It's King on that one. Last one. Game of Thrones or Handmaid's Tale? Yeah, look at William. William's like, ooh, that's ugly. Thrones, Handmaids, GOT. So Game of the Handmaids. Thank you. That episode 9 was brutal. We want to thank you guys so much. Tribe, did you hear that they didn't get a copy of the book? We get 6 free digital copies because I had that written into the contract. If you don't mind, could you please gift each one of the narrators a copy of the book so they don't have to wait for the library versions? So we'll send
doing that.
I
was already planning on doing that.
Okay, I didn't know that they didn't get it. I thought that was a given, So we will make sure that you guys get a copy of just in Instagram or Facebook to make sure you guys get a copy of the book that you all narrated for us. Really, really, truly appreciate it. I would like you all to do a round robin, everybody here to do an outro, good 10 seconds. How do we connect with you and stay up with you? Instagram, where do you want us to follow you? TikTok. So on that note, I'm going to start it with William. Let's go. And then you toss it to somebody else.
My name is William Anthony Sebastian Rose II, and you can follow me on Instagram at His Wellness, or reach out to me at hiswellness@gmail.com. And I will pass it over to Ruffin.
Thank you, William. I'm Ruffin Prentis III. Also, my actor stage name is just Ruffin Prentis. You can follow me at Instagram, Twitter. It's at rprentice III for the third. And I'll be in this week's episode of Poker Face on Peacock. Check it out.
Toss it to somebody.
Oh, yes. Tossing to Leah.
I'm mostly on Instagram, so I'm Leah Horowitz. You can find me there at the Leah Report. I know I need a better name. I just can't think of one. Khaya.
You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Khaya Fraites or KhayaFraites.com. Andre.
Yay. on Instagram, Andre on the mic, and my link tree is there that takes you to everything else. And I'll toss it over to Opal.
That's Opal Black Audio on Instagram and also my website.
Indeed. Is that all of the audio people? Tamika, did we get you?
Tamika Katon-Donegal on Instagram or Threads, or IMDb.
Indeed. So we're going to do to the authors. I am Nalena Kai. I'm a USA Today and Essence Magazine international best-selling author. I am a literary agent as well as the book whisperer. I'm the person that you come to when you're thinking about writing and publishing a book, and I will actually help you to do the damn thing because I believe everyone has a story to tell, and I'm just one of the people who can help you to tell it well. And on that note, I'm going to toss it to Stephanie M. Freeman.
All right, Stephanie M. Freeman's the name. Murder, Mayhem, and Mysteries are my game. I can be found anywhere social media is found. Remember the name. You'll be screaming it later. I'll pass it to Campbell.
J.L. Campbell.
Hi, I'm J.L. Campbell, national best-selling author of 40+ books. I live in Jamaica, and all my stories are flavored with a loving taste of the island. You can follow me anywhere on social media under J.L. Campbell. With that, and thank you all for being here. It was such a wonderful conversation. I'm passing it to Lisa Dodson.
Okay, Lisa Dodson. I write a little bit of everything. I'm where danger meets romance. I have 20 books, award-winning and national best-selling author. And you can find me under Lisa Y. Dodson on all social media. And I am passing it to Michelle Sims.
Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Sims. I'm the creator of the Moore Family Saga, and I love how Ruffin created the voice of Cade. I felt like I was hearing him for the first time, like kids in an audiology studio, hearing their parents' voice for the first time. I like crafting stories where I'm using multi-generational characters and also where humans just reminded that we can do hard things. And common themes for me are about resilience and hope. And with that, I'd like to pass it to Pat. Pat, yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Patricia R. Walker. I'm a former recording industry veteran of marketing and promotion for Epic, Def Jam, and Columbia Records. I'm also known as Sister Betty. I'm a multi-award-winning national and Essence best-selling author. I'm the creator of the Sister Betty Gospel Comedy Series. I am published by Kensington Books, and I've been with Tribe a long time. It's been a pleasure, a real pleasure. I'm also from New York, Elmont, Nassau County. Yay, but I'm down here in North Carolina now. So I'm going to pass it on to
Tracy.
Pardon? Tracy, yes.
Hi, I'm Tracy Finlay. I am the author of 3 thrillers, hopefully 4 soon. Telling the truth, one lie at a time. I'm also an editor. I edit for some best-selling authors, Taryn Fisher, Baby Easton, Shanora Williams. And I'm also hopefully might be breaking into rom-coms soon. So we'll see.
Indeed. And social media by your name. Same
Oh,
as
yes. Just Tracy Finlay. TraciFinlay across the board.
Indeed. Thank you all so much. And all the people who are in the backyard listening, we thank you so much. And thank you, narrators, for being here, taking time out of your busy schedule. And on that note, I am going to